Hi everyone. Hope you're doing good on this second day of Viva Tech after a long night, maybe. Thomas, hello.
Hello,
How are you?
very good.
So Thomas, you're the CEO of Meero. Can you tell us in a few words what Meero does?
Meero, it's a 3 years old company. It's focusing on trying to find a way to better the life of artists, among which particularly the photographers. And so we're developing on one side revenues for photographers, and on the other side tools and solutions to automate everything they do that could be automated.
So you're only 3 years old, but you're growing very, very fast.
Yep.
You hired 400 people in the last 6 months, you told me. That's a lot. Had you decided since the very beginning of your startup that it would be a scale-up?
I did not know the name Scale Up back in the day, to be honest. But yes, I wanted to. But photography industry is a big, big business. You have softwares like Adobe on one side and hardwares like Kodak, hardware players. But in between, you have a huge industry worth hundreds of billions of dollars, and there was no one really connecting the dots. So I went into it to try to make it big, in the first days.
So like you were in that mindset from like you would say the few days.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what did you put in place in order for it to happen? Like you're launching a startup, you don't know if it's gonna work. Plus you're covering a new market, right? You're creating like kind of a new digital market. What do you put in place? What are the first measures that you take for it to be a scale up?
I took interns. That's the best way to, to start when you don't have any money. But now, if you want to go fast, on my side, the first thing you need to do with your first colleague was to put a think big mindset in the team. Every time you try to do something, you can either grow from 1 to 10 or from 1 to 100. On anything, it could be revenues, could be team play, could be everything. And you need to make people understand that aiming at 10 is a very bad target, and that actually 100, which does not seem to be achievable, can be achievable, and so let's go for 100. And so at the beginning, you're doing, $50,000 per month, and so you're like, it's not so much, and you need to understand people that reaching 10 millions per month of revenue, it's not so difficult. But if you don't push this thinking into people, the targets that seems to be far away, they just don't go there, and they grow from 50 to 100, and they seem happy about it. So you need to push the mindset of wanting to do more, which is not easy at the beginning, I think.
And what like concretely today, what do you do to have these mindset going on at Meero? You have a lot of employees. Do you do like, I don't know, do you see your old team once a week or something? Do you do meetings? How do you really get to that?
To give this thinking, well, when you're 10, 50, even 50 people, it's quite easy because you talk to everyone all the time. Now we're reaching 1,000 people quite soon, so you cannot talk to everyone all day long, wouldn't work. So you need to have proxies to do that. So when you scale a team from 0 to 1,000 and whatever, it's all about everyone needs to have 5 to 7 managers below him. And everyone below someone needs to have the same mindset. So it's how do you train your minus and moins un, like 5, and then how do you, like, how the whole hierarchy keeps thinking the same way. But you do not yourself talk to everyone. You need everyone below you and below to think this way. So you implement onboarding process, meetups in between managers. Sometimes you do some weekends and you try to just repeat the same thing, like all the time. And at some point it works. Today it works, at least.
How do you still keep a healthy culture in a company? We heard that there's a problem with hustle in the startup world, right? I mean, some employees in some companies, some British companies that are here today at VivaTech have complained about the spirit, about the hustle, about the way that the fact that they were pushed too hard. How do you keep a healthy culture even if you wanna like grow fast and
Um, so how do you do to have the pressure not to be too much? And it's a difficult topic. The thing is, you don't want to put pressure. You want people to do more on their own. So if to me, it's all about, sometimes you have pressure because you have targets to reach, so sometimes you need to push, but it's all about how do they enter a mindset or a spirit in which they just like being here. And that's what we're trying to do. So we're not trying to say, okay guys, we need to do this target by end of next month, and then you go every morning and you whip everyone like, go! We don't do that. Well, sometimes we do, but it's rare occasions. It's all about like if you go at my office, you at like sometimes late in the evening, you might see many people. But I don't have the feeling that that's us pushing. It's like them that they have to do something, just do it. And so at the end of the day, it's how do you make your office a cool place, I think. If you're among friends and not colleagues, and you have things to do, you do it with a beer in your hand, and it's not work so much anymore, and I think it's okay.
And how do you make sure that the culture sticks even when you hire 400 people in 6 months? Because I mean, you're growing really, really fast. You raise a lot of money, which means a lot of hiring. But well, it's first difficult to find talent, and then when you found those talents, how do you make sure they're included in the company and they don't change the spirit?
Managers.
Managers?
Yeah, again, so you need when you're 50, everything you say, everybody hears it. So it's, listen to it and hears. That's very easy. When you do not, when you cannot reach at hand like everyone, you need proxies. And so that's people who hire need to. The first level of people you hire need to have the same mindset, so that the people they hire has the same mindset, etc., etc. And then it's a combo of many things you do on a daily basis. Could be the office. Decoration, like for example, myself, we have five offices in Asia and the US and Europe, and I'm designing it myself, for example, because I want it to be the same spirit everywhere. We still, with my COO, we still see everyone we recruit. We have one proxy, like we see everyone, not to check if the level is good, but to check if the mindset is the same. So you define core values. Like I often say, values is often a bullshit term at the beginning because you don't really. But at some point, you need to have values. Like I don't know, in this company, you want people to be to have this mindset, this and this and this, and so you put people in charge of checking that every new hire has these few boxes ticked, and if they don't hire them, even if they're very good.
Okay, great. I wondered about VCs. You have quite a lot of funds at your capital today. Was it something you talked about with them, like in the first meetings, like I'm a startup, but I want to be a scale-up, and I want to grow fast, and I need you to be aligned with this thinking?
I don't know how many VCs there are in the room. VCs, they, above all, give you money. Then you're in charge of doing it. So you should not expect too much from them. Their job is to invest money. So when you're a partner at a VC and you have 20 companies that you attend as a board member, it's difficult to do a good job when you do 20 boards plus new investment plus blah, blah, blah. So I don't know. VC to me is like you talk on the side and you try to align everyone to your vision, so that basically you can go for it. But I don't really expect anything from it. So.
Do you feel like, because you have a few French VCs, right?
Yeah.
Because we often criticize like French investment, and we say we're not ready to go fast enough. We're not ready to put in enough money for startups to really be the next titans or champions. What do you feel? Like, do you feel your French funds are okay with you growing that fast and raising that much money, or do you ever felt that they try to stop you in some way, or that you didn't sign with a French fund because that tried to slow you down?
There is a difference of mindsets. If you fundraise in the US, like they don't look at your burn the same way. Like you can burn 1 million per month, they don't even look at it. If you fundraise in France and you burn that amount, they're trying to understand why. When you fundraise in the US, they do not try to look profitability soon. In the French ecosystem, they're trying to see how you make EBITDA, like net profit, soon. And so you don't have the same conversation. When you're going in the US, you can burn way more to try and reach higher revenue soon from now. It's different mindset. Now, it's changed a bit over the last 2 years. It's quite recent because you have more and more money in France. Too much, maybe. And so then
You cannot say that. You're not the right person.
I'm happy
say
to get
that.
it. I'm happy to get it, but there's a lot of money. But when there's a lot of money, the thing is you need to spend it. So when you used to have a Series A of $2 million euros 3 years ago, it was fantastic. Now a Series A that is not on top above 5 million is not a good Series A. So because you have money. So basically that means that they're investing more and more euros which means more and more burn, which means they're less looking at the burn, and so we're getting close to the US mindset.
Do you think it's a good thing, or do you think it could be dangerous?
It depends. If you want to have PME, SMBs, it's not a good thing. If you're trying to get very big company and compete with very big company in the US, that means you need to invest in tech and everything. So is that what you want to do? It's a good thing that we have more money to invest and spend.
Why did you decide to grow so fast and to burn so much cash?
I'm investing. I'm not burning. It's because they have an industry. You need to have your target that makes sense compared to what you're trying to get. When you have an industry where there is no one on it and it's worth so much, you're like, if I can do in 3 years what I would do in 10 years with more money, let's do it in 3 years. So you just do everything to be the first to win. In a few markets, the first, it's the saying, the first takes all. It's true, especially when it's a marketplace, like Zalada just before. So that when you're the first one, you just take all because you have a better brand awareness, and you have network effect and everything. So you just like, let's go as fast as possible. So it's get down to trying to find as much money as possible to invest on your supply. Supply for me is photographers, could be drivers, could be whatever, but. And so that's why I'm going fast.
Can you tell us a little more about your international development? Like how did it happen? What were the first countries you opened? And maybe if you have some advices for people who want to launch in the US or in Asia.
We did it, so it's difficult to copy paste it from one company to the others, but we did it project based. So we opened the first one in the US, in New York. We started to sign deals in the US before we moved in, so we already were generating cash before going in. And so we basically adapted our time at the office with the US, which means going later in the night and starting later in the day. We got like, I don't know, 50 clients making, I don't know, $1 million. And then we said, okay, so you can go there. Because when you go to a new country, you have many costs that you don't see. Many costs. It actually cost a lot, like really a lot. Like going to the US without at least a few millions to burn, it's really difficult. So we did project-based. And then it's all about finding someone there that you trust, that can do it for you. At Meero, I always try to get French people. So it's a French version of it. I like to manage the office, and then it's only local people. It's because it's difficult to understand another culture, so you get lied or bullshit a lot, right? Whether it be in India, China, Japan, it's even worse. But you go to the US, they know how to pitch. So everyone you see is fantastic. Like, they've been learning it since they're 8 years old, right? So it's difficult to know if they're good or not. And I've seen so many companies where you hire this fantastic CEO because he says, like, I've done that, I have 20 years of experience and stuff. And actually 6 months later, there's nothing going on. When you talk to a French person, because I'm French, you can see quite quickly if you're getting bullshitted or not. So it's easier to manage. And then when you operate the office, you can have a discussion when you understand really what's going on versus someone just blah-blahing to you. You go to India, for example, India, they have a culture of saying yes a lot. right? So you're trying to ask questions and to go deeper in a topic and say, okay, can we do that next month? And they're going to say yes. And then you miss the target by 50%. It's because culturally speaking, you don't know how to understand. I want to say yes this way. It's not really a yes. It's like actually, so you know, that's kind of stuff. Japan is the same. They say yes to. So a good way for me to scale was to hire general managers who were French.
Would you have an advice for someone launching in the US? Like, you went with funds, right? If I remember well, you opened your New York office after closing your Series B
Yep.
with American funds. That was really helpful, or could you have done it without?
No, again, you on your own. You don't expect too much from the investors. Now, the good thing from investors is that they bring you talent. They give you introductions. So when you have a VC that is US based, and you say I'm looking for a general manager, if it's a good one, he's going to give you introduction, because every good talent in the tech industry that is looking for a job, they're sending their resumes to VC. So basically, they get an inbound of all the good guys trying to change company, and so they're going to give you an inflow of guys. So you say to your board member, I'm looking for, in my case, a French guy that's been in the US for 10 years, blah, blah, blah. And then they give you like 2 resumes that they get inbound per day. That's very useful. Apart from that, you you try to make it work.
All right, we have a very interesting question from the public. How did you acquire the skills to manage such a big company? That's not your first company, maybe.
No, it's not my first company. It's my 4th. I did not acquire the skill to manage a big company. Honestly, it's not very difficult. When you look at it like that, because I remember 10 years ago I was looking at it the same way. It looks like so many people and stuff. How do you do it? Actually, at the end of the day, whether you're 10 people or 1,000, you have 7 guys under you with who you talk on a daily basis. And so basically, if you recruited properly your N-1 management, your life is quite the same as it used to be. It doesn't change a lot. You just have many more problems and things going up to you. But managing a 15-employee company and 1,000 is not so different.
Okay. Another question, isn't it counterintuitive to have the will to build a global company with just French general managers?
It is. That's why I'm saying it. It is. But before doing that, I've seen a lot of CEOs of company that tried to go to the US, because the US was my first destination, and I've heard so many failures. And every time when you do your matrix, you realize that's because they were talking to American. So basically, in my angels, my very first round 3 years ago, I had the CEO of Webedia that I know pretty well, and after many failures, he told me that the best combo he had was to take a French general manager with a local sales director, and I did the same, and honestly, it worked quite well. I had tried before that to go to Israel with an office over there and with an Israeli local guy, and I had the same failure, like difficult to understand each other. So I tried that way, taking a friend. But again, in the office, everyone is like in India. It's obviously only Indian and stuff. It's just the top guy over there, and it's someone that's been there for like at least 5 to 10 years. So it's quite local also. But to me, it's the best way to communicate and understand. I'm not saying that's the only way, but to me, I do recommend it, by the way. But it's working quite well.
Okay. Well, that's a good advice to take home. One last question. What kind of exit do you imagine for Meero?
It's a question I will not answer because I'm trying not to focus on the exits. I honestly really love what I do. So if I can keep going for 15 years, I will be happy to do so.
Thank you so much to everyone for being here today.